Hi all, Violet here, second generation homeschooling mom of 3. I have a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and an infant. Today I wanted to share with you some of the geography resources that we've used over the last few years. So let's get into it. This is from Evan Moore. It's meant for grades K through 2, and it's called Beginning Geography. Evan Moore also has skill sharpener books that are grade by grade. That go over all sorts of geographical stuff, but I liked the look of this one. It's definitely very worksheet focused, but it talks about how to read a map, different things on a map, different ways to make maps, goes through landforms and bodies of water, and it has little worksheet activities. My kids don't do a lot of worksheets, so they thought that this was fun. So we did this when my daughter was in kindergarten, and we did it all the way through, and she thought it was fun. But I don't know that she retained much of it, because when we did our map making unit in Building Foundations of Scientific Understanding, I pulled out a bunch of maps from this to use again, and she didn't remember having done them before. But now that we've done them with Building Foundations, the way that that program is set up, she remembers all the things that we learned. So that's good at least. And then it has an answer key in the back. So this is a book that I think definitely could be useful for some people. I'm generally not a huge worksheet person, but my kids did really enjoy doing these maps and things in here. So this next resource is Living Geography for the Primary Grades. It's Charlotte Mason's original elementary geography text that Marjorie Lang has secularized and updated. As you can see, it says for the 21st century. So she has reformatted it and changed some of the wording to make it make more sense for us now, be a little bit less colonial, and let me show you the back actually, because she explains it. Free from colonialism and gender bias and filled with poems from diverse poets, this fully illustrated book has supply lists and notes to make teaching easier. So we went through this, we enjoyed doing this. The supply lists definitely make it easier to do the activity, you know what's coming up. And we did really appreciate all the diverse poets. Marjorie Lang on her blog has an article about how she chose the poets, how she tried to make it very balanced between male and female poets from all over the world, and we definitely really appreciated that. So here's the master supply list at the very beginning, and it goes lesson by lesson, tells you what you need. And then lesson 1 is a poem. So the way Charlotte Mason style stuff is set up is you would just read your child this poem and that's it. You don't really need to ask them any questions about it. You just let it kind of soak into their consciousness, and short and sweet lessons, and you move on, and that's it. So then lesson 2, you would start this lesson. We did not do it quite that way. I usually tacked the poems on to other lessons that we were doing because we were trying to do this. We did this last summer, so I wasn't taking a whole school year to do this book. But you definitely could spread it out longer if you wanted to. So you can see this lesson has a few supplies to help you explain the lesson, and then the lesson itself you can just read straight to your child from here, and it's very short. And that is how they're all set up. The illustrations in this book are small black and white illustrations. My daughter appreciated them, but they definitely are just pretty small, like you sit next to your child and look at them kind of thing. A lot of the lessons have questions that you'll ask your child afterwards to make sure that they've retained everything, to start working on that skill of narration, which is very, very important in Charlotte Mason schooling. So you can see there's a lot of questions here. And I would do all of them with my daughter because they're very forward and to the point, and it helped me gauge how well she was remembering and paying attention to this. And she did really well with those. So yeah, the book is just set up like that. After every lesson, not every lesson has a poem after it. Sometimes there'll be 2 poems. It kind of just depends. Some of the lessons that are part 1, part 2 may not have a poem between them, but there's definitely a good amount of poetry in here and very short. So this has a cultural note, as you can see, which I appreciated. This country's perspective is written from the point of view of someone who lives in England, because Charlotte Mason lived in England, so they have notes about changing it if you don't live in England, so we just changed it to the US because that's where we live. And that's it. This next book I used with my daughter when she was in preschool, just as a light something to do to kind of guide the books that we were checking out from the library. So we'd read a page from this, and then we'd go to the library and check out books related to that page. And it was nice. We could do as much or as little as we wanted. And I don't think you have to do anything for preschool, but she was asking for us to do more things, and she liked the theme weeks. And sometimes we do recipes from the countries, and I just kind of put it together myself, and it was fun. It was as hard or as easy as we wanted it to be. Or like we could do as much or as little as we wanted to. So here's the table of contents. I do wish they had a few more countries from Africa here to make it more even. There are a ton of countries in Africa, so I feel like they could have featured a few more kids. But every region has an introductory page like this, It tells you about the region, climate, stuff like that, and then it has pictures of kids who live in the region, and then not all these kids are featured in this book. The ones that are have their page numbers. So we really enjoyed going over this book. Each kid has a 1 or sometimes 2-page spread on them. Tells you their name, a little bit about them, usually has pictures of their family, where they live, favorite food, their signature, how they say hello in whatever language they speak, a little bit more about their country, and then just a few more fun facts, kind of just depending upon what the kid's background is and how much they wanted to share. There are 4 kids from the US in this book. So Lily lives in Ohio, Andrea lives in South Carolina, Joaquin's from New Jersey, and then Simeon is in Montana, and Simeon's Native American. He's Shawnee, so talks a lot about that. And you can see he gets a 2-page spread. So yeah, the book is just set up like that. Most kids get 1 or 2-page spreads. And we really enjoyed going through this. This was a good spine for our pre-K year. I definitely think you could use it with older kids too, but you definitely want to bring in more resources for this. I don't think this is enough on its own because it's a pretty quick snapshot of each of the places that you're looking at. But we enjoyed doing this. And then at the back, I just have the index, glossary and index. DK has a whole series that has kind of set up like this, but it's like holidays around the world, food around the world. I think they have like schools around the world. So if your kid is interested in things like that, those are good resources for, I think this would be more of a spine for a geography study than a curriculum you could use independently. The last kind of world geography resource that I have, we haven't started this yet because I'm not sure that my kids' manual dexterity and like frustration tolerance are up to it yet. My daughter's a little bit of a perfectionist, but this Draw the World, there's a whole series of books, and so we'll start with this one. It guides you step by step through drawing all the continents. So it tells you how to set up your paper, and it just guides you with beginning to draw a very simplified outline of the continents. So you start with North America. This is not divided into lessons for you, so you would have to choose where to stop. Each day it could kind of be, some kids might be okay doing the whole thing in a single sitting and just repeating it several times. Some kids might need to take it in smaller chunks. That's kind of left up to you to decide. But these little instructions for drawing are very easy to understand. They're very friendly sounding. And I definitely think this makes drawing a whole map all on your own very approachable. And so when you're done, it should look something like that. So I'm planning to do this maybe this summer. I'm really excited about trying this. We'll see how it goes. As a supplement to our geography study, we have a ton of geography puzzles. My kids love puzzles. I love these puzzles. These are from A Broader View. It's the company that manufactures them. And they're very sturdy pieces that are very put up with a lot. My son started doing these when he was, I think, 18 months, and he's 5 now, and you can see they still look pretty good. But the way that these are set up with the border all the way around the edge made them really easy for him to do. He didn't have to worry about the pieces shifting too much. Even though he didn't have a great deal of manual dexterity when he was a toddler, he could still do these puzzles. So I really wanted to get A Broader View's Kids World puzzle, but when I looked for it, I could not find it. So I don't know if they've got out of business or they've stopped manufacturing puzzles or if it was just a COVID thing, but that was a bummer. So instead, I got my kids this GeoPuzzle world puzzle, and I like this one a lot less than the Broader View puzzle. The pieces are thinner and a lot of them came warped. I don't know if you can see that, but it's bent ever so slightly, which was a little bit irritating, and it makes it harder to put the puzzles together because the pieces don't quite fit. The other thing that I don't like about this puzzle, it's meant for a slightly older kid, which is fine, but when my kids were interested in doing this, they were littler. And so the way that the pieces connect around the edge, it doesn't make a solid border. So it doesn't have a frame really, even one made out of puzzle pieces. So it shifts around a lot when you're putting it together. So it was a lot more challenging than I was expecting it to be for my kids to put together. But they still like it. My son still does this puzzle now. So I hope you found this helpful. I'll link everything in the description box below. I am an Amazon affiliate, so if you click on an Amazon link and make a purchase, I do receive a small commission. Thank you for watching.